For round one of the eyes, we're going to be using our white yarn and make a magic circle, and then put 6 single crochet into that circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you'll take the tail, give it a pull. Now when you're closing this up, you want to make sure that you don't close it too tight, because we're going to be using safety eyes, and you want to make sure that center hole is going to be big enough for your safety eye to fit in. And then you'll place your stitch marker, and at the end of this round you will have 6 stitches. For round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, just like that. So 2 single crochet in each stitch, and once you have finished this round, you should have a total of 12 stitches. For round 3, we will start with 1 increase, followed by 2 single crochet, then we're going to increase 3 times. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to do 4 single crochet, three and 4, and then we're going to increase 2 times. So there's 1 and 2. And at the end of this round, you should have a total of 18 stitches. For round 4, we're going to begin with 1 increase, then do 4 single crochet, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to follow that by increasing 2 times. There's 1 and 2. And then do 2 single crochet, followed by 1 increase. Then do 4 single crochet, 2, oopsie, there's 3 and 4, followed by 1 increase, then 2 single crochet, and then finishing off with 1 more increase. And at the end of this round, you should have a total of 24 stitches. At this point, we're going to remove that stitch marker and then do a slip stitch in the next 2 stitches just to finish it off. And then we'll tie it off, and make sure you leave a long enough tail for sewing it onto the head. And we're going to take this beginning tail, weave it in before we add the safety eye. And if you don't have a safety eye, you can take some black yarn, do a magic circle with 6 single crochet, and then tie that off and sew it to the center of this white part. But today I'm going to be using some safety eyes for this one. So I'm going to take my safety eye, I'm going to stick it right in the center there, that center hole, flip it over, and take the back that comes with it, place it on there, and push it on. If you have trouble getting it pushed down into place, this is a neat little tool. This was just a stylus that I took the rubber tip off, which leaves it hollow. Fits perfectly on there. And then I just take and push down, and it works perfect for popping that all the way down and making it secure. So there is one of the eyes, and you're going to want to make 2. To attach the eyes to the face, you can see I've already got one on here. I came down about 16 or 17 rows from the top and lined the back of the safety eye to one of those holes in that row. And so we're just going to take this second eye, line it up so it's even, and then have the second eye kind of overlapping, or at least touching, the first eye. And then to attach it, we're just going to thread the yarn needle and then go under one of the stitches in the body, and then come up through the stitch in the eye. And then you'll pull that tight, and then you'll move to the next stitch. So go under the stitch in the body, and then come up through the next stitch in the eye. And you'll just continue this all the way around until you get back to where you started. So remembering to go through a stitch in the body and then a stitch in the eye. You want to make sure that when you get to the top of your eye, you're stitching into that same row that you did for the previous eye, and then the same thing down here at the bottom, stitch through that same row. Once you have your eyes attached, make sure you tie off and push your yarn needle through the head so you can hide the tail. And now we're going to take our blue yarn, or whatever color you chose, and we're going to do a single crochet border all the way around the eyes. So we'll just take your hook, go under a stitch in the body, and you're going to try to keep as close to the white part of the eye as possible. So bring your yarn through. You want to leave a long enough tail for you to weave in, and then do a chain 1 just to secure your yarn. And then you're going to move that tail out of the way, and then take your hook and go under the next stitch, grab your yarn and do a single crochet, and then you'll go under the next stitch, bring up your yarn and do your single crochet. So then we'll move to the next stitch and do a single crochet. So you're going to single crochet all the way around the eyes, just like that. And here I've gotten all the way around. I've tied off. I'm going to snip that yarn And just to make sure that beginning tail stays secure, I'm going to go ahead and tie that in a knot. This part will be covered by the muzzle, so you won't actually see that knot. And then we'll take our two tail ends here. And stick it on through the head so we can hide that tail inside the head. And then give it a snip. And there we go. We've got the eyes in place with the border. And now we're ready for the muzzle.